Hey, welcome everyone. Roger here from Roger's Hot Rod Garage one more time, and look what showed up while I was screwing off at Mario's barbecue car show party today. I think I know what's in it right now, but let me get back to that. So these right here, I would imagine these are simple spark plugs. Again, this is nothing special. Let me get my little cutting tool right here and do the unpacking. I know that might be a little bit much for spark plugs, but check this out. These should be the Bosch ones, yeah. So now I've got my spark plugs. They go right up in the little holes right there. Obviously that's a spark plug hole, but so, you know, what I love about the internet is literally you can just Google the stuff and see if it fits your car or not. For example, these right here, these are the push rod tubes, I believe is that correct terminology. And the reason I had to order these along with these little gaskets is because these right here are leaking right here. And that's because they were put off slightly at an angle. And I'm just gonna, you know, for 26 euros, which is like 30 bucks, I'm gonna replace them. Now, some of you real smart folks out there say they make these right here that you actually put into the cylinder heads and you can turn them, and that way they seal a little bit better. I didn't find those. I think this will work just fine. And the Keffa Clinic recommended that right here where these little seals are at, I'm gonna take a little bit of RTV and rub around the outside of them and squeeze them in that way. So it's just a planned process to put these things in here. And let me see what these spark plugs look like. Just brand new pretty spark plugs. There's nothing special about these. And then they're gonna go right up in here. Now hopefully the threads are good on these things, and it appears that they are. So okay, that one's going in there nice and neat. Yeah, look at that. So anyway, nothing special. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move my little handy dandy camera over here. But look, before we do that, you see right there it says Kraftstoff. I don't know what the ohm rating on this is. Typical GM cars are 0 ohms at empty and 90 ohms when they're completely full. I tried that with a pure chance of me maybe getting the right ohm meter. So I don't know what this is. I know it's from VDO. So I just have to find out whatever gets that little needle to go back and forth from the sending unit. If you know what this thing is actually out of, I don't think it's from a Volkswagen. I want to retrofit this old gauge in that bug directly behind me right now, and that's the plan. So if not, I could use the old kick thing on the bottom when you go to reserve, because as you folks know, this thing is so old, 1957, it does not have a fuel gauge anywhere in here. And then somebody cut a hole over there and drilled those little, hazard lights in that little 12-volt receptacle. I'm gonna go ahead and maybe try to cover up both those nasty holes with this gauge. And I actually took a look at it. It'll actually fit in there. It'll cover up those holes, and that way I got a gas. But first, I have to make sure that I know what the ohm rating on this thing actually works. So no big deal. But look, let me flip this camera around. Come over here and get the big giant box. But before I do that, I'm gonna scoot this over here, move this camera this way, slide this engine down a little bit. Okay, things are not that heavy. And from a company called Partworks, whatever it is, I'm gonna grab my little X-Acto knife or utility knife here and then show you what those headlights look like. Now, hopefully I'm not completely surprised and this is crap, but it's 300 euros, 299 to be exact, and they're brand new. I mean, I'm gonna show you folks in just a second whether I'm gonna be disappointed or not. So first of all, packed in here very nicely. Got a little foam over here, got a little cushioning over here. And let me pull these suckers out. Now, hopefully I don't see made in China on here, but that might be the case. I think these are actually made in Denmark, JP Classics or Classic line. Let me find out real quick. So let me move this one down. Get my little cutter out here. So there's still, actually this one was open, sorry about that. And so somebody's already been in here. Well, looks good so far. Look at that. Satisfied so far. Hold on. Looking good so far. I'm looking for the made in China thing, but I don't see it so far. good quality. Chrome looks really, really good. And even comes with a little bitty screw, which I saved one just in case it didn't come out here, but looking pretty decent here. And let me take the camera and put over here and see how these things actually get mounted in here. It's got the rubber piece in it as well. And if I'm not mistaken, it's gonna pop right there. Look at that. Bob is your uncle. Man, that looks spiffy. Look at that. All right, hey, 24 hours later, Sunday morning here, the end of April 2025. Got my carpets laying out right here. That's that coconut brown I was talking about earlier. But look, I've got this one glued in right here on the rocker panel over here, on the inside rocker panel. And I'm slowly working my way around here. Now, you know, little Barney Fife action right here. I did not know how this came out of here, and I would venture to say that this has been in here since this thing rolled off the factory in Wolfsburg in 1957. So obviously, I got myself a little bitty flashlight and some spectacles so I can actually see right up in here. Basically, this is that little control mechanism to control the heater. So look, I've got these sanded down. I've got this sanded down right up here, the shifter knob. I've got the stuff right here. I got the new boot. I've got the knob up here. I'll clean all that up. And right now, I'm putting on this center transmission tunnel. Actually, not a transmission tunnel. It's just for controls going back and forth and for fuel lines and everything else. But it's pretty clean up in here. This right here is simply glued up in here right now. And I think it's holding. I'm using, where's that stuff at? It's a pretty good glue. There it is right there from 3M. Spray adhesive, multi-purpose. It seems to be working okay, because the only other option is, you see these little bitty nails right here? These nails are actually what held in the carpet along with a little bit of glue back in the day. But look, I kind of got everything laid out right here. Again, the sun is the trick right here because that stuff's all pliable and looking pretty clean up in here. I'm going to do the other side. And then these are actually the rubber mats that go up in here. And you see this right here? I'm going to take the center bar off right now. It's 2 bolts, one over here and one over here. And that way I can actually spray some of that adhesive underneath here. And you see how I got this play up in here? I want to kind of like push this down and get it tight on the bottom. That way it'll be a little cleaner. And I'm trying to get this as low as I can to down here, but it's looking pretty good. And then you get yourself some floor mats and put it here underneath these things right here. So basically that's it. Stay tuned. Hey, so look folks, I'm gonna take a little brake cleaner right here and just hit this little corner right here, because I got a lot of overspray and just dust and crap and everything. And obviously, if I spray this stuff on right here, the 77, Super 77 by 3M, it has to have something to adhere to. So that's just the goal right here, is just to clean this thing up. And yeah, there is some dirt and crap on here, but you know, it's not a big deal. Let me hit this little corner right there. All right, nothing big deal. So now, okay, that's good to go. And now what I do is I take a layer of this stuff and I go ahead and spray on here. And the term tack up comes into play right now. You do have time for this stuff to set up. Don't be all stressed out. If you notice down here, I actually had to put black Dynamat up in here because there's certain aspects of that rubber mat that comes down here that is not actually going to completely cover that. So I didn't want to have silver down there. Black, a little easier. Anyway, just putting this stuff down here, let it tack up, and I'll go grab the carpet here in a second, and I'll go do that one too. All right, be right back. Thanks. All right, so look, if you lay this stuff down flat right here, the glue will actually run through it, so I just do it like this. hit the edges really good. And we go back inside. Now, the trick here is to get this stuff kind of situated where it's supposed to be, because you can't do a whole lot of moving once it's down in here. Like, it's super sticky right now. And the main thing is to get it down here. It's got these little orientation things here. Okay. Get down underneath this one right here. And Bob is your uncle. Come down here. I'm calling that good. Okay. So I got a first time go on this one here. Let me move it around in case you can see these corners right here. And now it's just a matter of pressing it hard into the little corners and getting all the contours covered. I split that right there on purpose. You're not going to see that, but it gets it around that corner right there. And I think it's always kind of amazing that as I get to the end of my project, it gets a little easier, because I've made my mistakes on the other side over there. That's exactly what I was looking for here. It's down tight, and that 3M glue is really, once you get it down there and once you tack it up, don't try to put it on right away. It actually has to tack up. Bob will be your uncle, and let's look at that. That is actually better than perfect, in my little humble opinion. All right, you guys get to see the interior, or the back, actually going in right now. Now, the goal here is not to take and rip up any upholstery on the inside by those little sharp edges right there. So that one's in, and that one is in. Now, here's these little special screws you need. I think they're 14 millimeter, and I put a little dab of grease on them. So let me get my little bony butt up in here. And actually, I think it'll be better if I come in from the other side. All right, hey folks, the sun is coming down here in Germany. It was literally bug day today. And damn geese out there. But look, this is the next project right here. It's just basically clean this up a little bit, fit this thing up here. Those are those weird ones I've got. I think, yeah, look at that. You can actually see through them with the sun going down. I heard these are kind of rare, but I don't know. I'm gonna bolt this one up after I clean it up a little bit. I'll polish that little mirror up and do everything right here. Man, what the hell is going on out here? Hold on. Hey, get out of here. I'm eating my sunflower seeds and my banana plants. Anyway, idiots. All right. So here's another thing I found out today. Leave in the comments if you know whether this is worth something. Somebody told me at a car show this is worth gold right here. It's not this one. And yeah, this is the one right here. Check this out. So it says Hella on the bottom, but he said if you got one of these, pretty doggone rare, because these original, this has actually got, I'm not going to focus on here, this actually got VW on it. VW, so that's one of the original headlights that came with this thing when it rolled off the factory. I got one more down there, not a VW one, but this one says, I think this is the Bosch one, or this is a Hella too, but it doesn't have the Volkswagen thing on the top of it like this one has. So anyway, if you think those are worth something, I don't know, because I ain't no bug expert. But anyway, stop yapping. Motor, I'm going to go ahead and button up this video for today. A little bit of mothers. back of this mirror. And if you're lazy like I am, you grab yourself a little flappy disc with a nice little polishing wheel on it. Here we go. Bob's your uncle. All right, folks, a little modification here again. This is the visors and rear view mirror, but if you notice, if I hold it right up here, those holes don't exactly match up. And I don't think I can get that part. Now I went ahead and polished this piece over here. That's actually the original paint up in here where I'm tapping. Pretty doggone amazing. But anyway, what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to make myself a little bitty piece. Come on over here and lay this, I heard, very valuable sun visor down, the original one. It's even got the little Volkswagen emblem on it here someplace. Right there it is. There you go. If you can see that or not. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of aluminum, which I have right here, and just cut myself a little spacer back here so I can adapt it. Let's see, I think I'll turn it around this way and then lay this down here and just cut myself a little template here. Bob will be your uncle here in a second. Right there. And the holes all right there. All right, now I'll just cut this little thing right here. All right, drill your hole first while you got something to hold on to. Piece is kind of already done right now. Move it over here. Station number 2 for fabrication. Get that rough edge off of there. Move over here. Shine on this outside edge right here. Alright, so look, I'm basically done here, and this is pretty simple. Let me lay this right here and show you what I'm going to do. This right here is nothing more than a small spacer, goes underneath here. The holes on the top match up, and I'll just drill new holes in there, and then the one on the top actually already matches up, and I can see right now I want to get this thing actually looking pretty good, because every time you look in the rear mirror you'll see this. I need to do a little bit of trimming right there. That's actually round, not a whole lot, but right there. Attention to detail, I guess the Army taught me that over 40 some years. Alright, these are the same screws, stainless steel, that work in a 1955 Chevy Nomad. And people always ask me, why do you polish the heads of your screws? Well, it's the same reason I polish my nuts and every other little bolt I have in this thing. So it's a little attention to detail. And there you go. Real simple to do. Nice and shiny. A little adapter plate I made right here. Goes right up in there. And then come over here. And then that right there is the perfect size to go right up in there. Look at that. Bob is your uncle again. There you go. Perfect. Alright, look, that didn't take too long. So I don't know, probably 20 minutes of playing around. It's a piece of aluminum. Looks pretty cool and spiffy. I've got this side right here polished out a little bit, so that'll go up. And then for whoever takes this thing apart again, I'm gonna write a little note for them in here. Let's see, Roger was here. 29 April 2025. All right, so put a little grease on these bottom two. Got them snugged up in here. Tighten this last one up here. And that is basically it. Nice and snug, centered, even. And now they go up here, and that's where you drive around 90% with them up here. But what's cool about them is they're actually see-through. See, that's what you got to watch. I cut myself right here, I don't know where. And with a brand new interior here, the last thing you want to do is get blood on something. Oh yeah, that's spiffy. Let me see if I can adjust it a little bit. Oh yeah. There you go. Now it's parallel. All right, let's get these seats in here. This is the passenger side. And how do you know? Because the adjuster is on the other side over here, so you can reach it as you're getting in the car. Now, this all looks all easy, but this is a pretty simple process. You just got to get down here and find the tracks and lay them in here where they are, right there. Come on, you can do it. There's that one. And there's that one. Look at that. That was pretty simple. Now pull up the adjuster. And that's it. So this one's in here. Now the only thing missing is a big giant spring that goes on the bottom of these things, so that way you don't have to do that little move the seat back forward. When you pull this lever, the seat actually slides forward all by itself. Hey, so look, there's that lever I'm telling you about. See how you adjust that? Pretty cool little simple innovation. And obviously it goes on this side, because if you had it on this side, it would be down here and you couldn't actually adjust it. So I'll do my first sitting right now in the car. There we go. Look at that. Pretty cool. Yes, sir, Bob. All right, hey, one more time. Let me put the ignition switch on here. Ignition switch is on. I'm gonna make a left turn here. I just love the way this thing works. So actually online, they do sell those little LED lights that are either 6 or 12 volts that flash. So I can either do that away, or I've already figured out in my mind how with a relay and a flasher ×2, I could do both sides for 6 volts. Remember, this now is 6 volts. And let me cut that off, and I'm gonna show you why it's 6 volts. Because, like I showed you earlier in the video, I've got that 10 amp reducer in here. This is a DC reducer. There it is right there. And looking pretty clean up in here. I just want to get it nice and neat. There's my 4-way flash assembly. I got to convert that over to 12 volts too, but that should be pretty easy. And there's my wiring harness going to the front. And this would be one on this side, including, don't forget your ground. Your ground is about halfway through it right there. So I'll get that cleaned up, and I'll do these headlights pretty soon. But look what I wanted to show you. I've got my lights cut on right now. And this is obviously, well, I don't have my lights cut on. Let me cut my lights on real quick here. Lights are on right here. And voila, those aren't LEDs. Those are actually little 12 volt conversion right now. Again, I'm not running 6 volts anymore. I love the way that turned out right there, and the paint job. And obviously this side right now. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this down about right here, and then step on the brake light, or step on the brake pedal. Look at that. So brake pedals work. And remember folks, I've got the Semaphores right now, so even over here in Germany, these don't have to flash. Although they did have a left and right flasher relay. So if I get those things to flash, which is an American setup, although this is not an American spec vehicle, I'll go ahead and make it so when you step on the brake, it disconnects it and it flashes back here. I think the German inspection station might even like that. And look, since I'm down here, there's my hot soldering iron. Don't step on that, especially with sandals, because it hurts. This is the stuff that I found up in here. Now, whoever did this back in the 70s or 80s or whatever, this actually looks like 220 volt lamp cable. It's not the original stuff because it's kind of pliable and easy, but anyway, crap like this I throw out. I solder everything and then nice and neat and tuck it. I don't know if you can even see it. I got it tucked up in here because Volkswagen had these little tabs everywhere that actually holds the wiring in. So this one's done right here. Let me just give you a shot up in here if you can see that. See how nice and neat that is right there? And you don't have to worry about it. And again, this is the one that I did my independent ground on, so I'm not relying on that little flipper thing to actually touch down here. But look, it's a Sunday. I think it's the 4th of May, 2025. I'm about to shut this place down. Let me go ahead and cut the ignition down. I got a birthday party to go through that door and up. So son's girlfriend's turning 30, so that means I'm getting older. But anyway, go ahead and knock this thing down. I did have to take a chance and get it washed tomorrow. So the thing is looking a little spiffy and everything, but again, with cars like this, if you're trying to rush these projects and get it all done in one day, that's not the way to do this. Just come down here, knock out a couple things on the list to do stuff, like, for example, get this 1x4 out of here and get that little fancy spring thing mechanism, which I literally don't know how to put back in there, but I'll figure it out. But that's about it from Roger's Hot Rod Garage. Like, subscribe, and share. The sun is shining outside and the pool is filling up as well. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, folks, here at Roger's Hot Rod Garage. This is what's cool about Europe. So we all have a drink in our hand. I've got the brand new umbrella here. Woohoo! Thanks a lot, appreciate that. So look, we have Italians here, Italians.
You're very welcome.
We have Germans.
For sure.
Bernd. And the Croatians just blew into town.
Dobar dan.
But what?
Dobar dan.
Dobar dan.
Dobar.
Bruno,
Yes.
the woman's man.
Goran. Hello.
And with the USA shirt on, and of course, Roger from Roger's Hot Rod Garage. So we're gonna call it a take on this video right here. So appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, and share from Roger's Hot Rod Garage here in Germany. All right, let's go downstairs and put some buns on these boys.